God-level duplication system. Chapter 141. Refining pills. Lin Xuan's profound grade alchemy talent was the highest among all of them. In the Wind Cloud City, even the Apothecary Guild's president was weaker than him in terms of alchemy talent. With such high potential, he could easily become an intermediate rank alchemist. He could stand at the top of the scorching sun domain with his identity as an alchemist and receive the respect of countless warriors. However, Lin Xuan yearned for martial arts more than Pill Dao. Pill Dao was only used to support his martial arts. The higher the alchemy talent was, the more resources he would obtain. The faster his cultivation speed, the higher his achievements on the martial path would be. Lin Xuan was incredibly happy about this. He was even more confident about his next plan to earn money by concocting pills. Not long after, he sent someone to deliver a storage ring. Among them, there were 60 sets of ingredients and 3 distinct types of rank 5 high-grade medicinal pills. There were also pill formulas for these 3 types of medicinal pills. Rank 5 pills were pills used by the condensation spin stage and could only be concocted by mid-spiritual rank alchemists. With Lin Xuan's current attainments in the Pill Dao, he could easily concoct rank 6 pills. After Lin Xuan and He discussed for a while, he still decided to concoct a rank 5 high-grade medicinal pill first. The main reason was that there were more condensation spin stage warriors in the Wind Cloud City than spirit opening stage warriors, and they would also spend more. Refining rank 5 pills earned more money than refining rank 6 pills. The second reason was that the average strength of the Essence Pill Pavilion was exceptionally low. As the master of the Essence Pill Pavilion, He was also the number 1 expert in the Essence Pill Pavilion. His own strength was at the late stage of the spirit opening stage, and he wasn't considered a top expert in the Wind Cloud City. The Essence Pill Pavilion couldn't even squeeze into the ranks of the Great Pill Shop. If they were to sell rank 6 pills, perhaps not many spirit opening stage warriors would choose to buy them from the Essence Pill Pavilion. In comparison, it was more worthwhile to choose rank 5 pills. As long as they sold a lot of them, they would be able to make money. After that, Lin Xuan brought the ingredients to the Essence Pill Pavilion's alchemy room. He chose a single, first-class alchemy room. He took out the ingredients and placed them on the table beside him. He took out 3 pill formulas and looked at them carefully. Up until now, Lin Xuan had only refined medicinal pills twice. They were the mortal rank advanced pill refiner and spiritual rank first-class alchemist tests. However, he was still confident that he could concoct pills. After all, he had the best alchemy talent. Especially since his alchemy talent had already reached the profound grade, concocting pills was a piece of cake for him. He carefully looked at the 3 pill formulas in his hand. Although he had never seen these 3 pill formulas before, not long after, he instantly memorized them and absorbed them to understand them. A feeling that he had practiced over 1,000 times surged into his mind. Not long after, Lin Xuan finished reading the 3 pill formulas. He had never refined these 3 types of pills before and had now turned into the state of an alchemist who specialized in refining these 3 types of pills. Now, even if he closed his eyes, he could easily refine these 3 types of pills, and he could even refine these 3 types of pills to the degree of cloud pattern pill. This was the strength of a profound grade alchemy talent. Lin Xuan sighed with emotion in his heart. After that, he started preparing to concoct the pill. He spread out his right hand. A golden pillar of fire appeared, and a wave of heat spread out in all directions. The temperature of the entire furnace room instantly rose. Compared to before, this pill fire's power was many times greater. If I throw this pill fire out, I can at least burn a condensation spin stage peak to death, right? This is a good method to destroy the evidence. Lin Xuan thought to himself. Immediately after, the pill fire started burning in the furnace. Lin Xuan threw a part of the ingredients into the furnace. The pill fire split into dozens of flames that wrapped around a part of the ingredients and started roasting them. If the other alchemists saw this scene, they would definitely be shocked. Each ingredient needed to be roasted at a different temperature. There were several hundred herbs in one set. The difficulty of extracting all the herbs at once was many times greater than that of refining one herb at a time. If one was not careful, the pill furnace would explode. It was extremely dangerous. Even an Earth-ranked alchemist master wouldn't dare to do so. However, Lin Xuan's expression was calm and full of confidence. Furthermore, these dozens of herbs were very stable. This showed that Lin Xuan's skill in alchemy had already surpassed many Earth-ranked alchemist warriors. His profound grade alchemy talent was amazing. The time passed slowly. Not long after that, the furnace room where Lin Xuan was filled with scorching, stifling air waves and an extremely dense pill fragrance. This attracted all the alchemists in the entire pill refining room. Everyone started to discuss amongst themselves. These pills should be very good. This should be Lord Sun Minji concocting pills, right? I remember that he went out for some business recently. He probably hasn't come back yet. Then who is this? Could it be another spiritual rank alchemist? I don't know. Not long after, the door opened, and Lin Xuan slowly walked out. He looked calm, as if he had never done anything. All the alchemists present were stunned. They couldn't believe it. In their point of view, even spiritual rank first-class alchemists might not be able to do such a thing. However, Lin Xuan was just a young man who wasn't even 20 years old. They found it hard to believe. In the entire Wind Cloud City, the youngest spiritual rank alchemist was already 18 years old. Lin Xuan didn't even look 18 years old. How could he be a spiritual rank, first-class alchemist? No matter what, they couldn't believe it. They wanted to see if there was anyone else in the furnace room. If this youth was only an alchemy attendant, then it was still reasonable. However, there was no one else in the furnace room. There were some people who walked into the pill refinement room from the side to search, but they didn't see anyone else. This proved a fact that they did not dare to imagine. Lin Xuan was the spiritual rank first-class alchemist, they thought he was. In an instant, all the alchemists present were stunned, and they fell into deep shock. Because their knowledge had been overturned after Sun He heard the news, he quickly rushed over. When he saw Lin Xuan, he said, "Elder Lin, what's your result?" When the alchemists saw this scene, they were even more shocked. "I have completed my mission. My success rate has reached 70%. Lin Xuan replied with a smile. "What nonsense are you talking about? Do you think alchemy is a game? How can there be such a high success rate? When Lord Sun Minji is lucky, he is at most at 60%. Under normal circumstances, he is at the 50%. As soon as Lin Xuan finished speaking, before Sun He could say anything, a few old spiritual rank alchemists on the scene couldn't help but shout. Lin Xuan sneered and couldn't be bothered to argue. He waved his hand. Densely packed jade bottles appeared on the table beside him. A rich pill fragrance spread. Chapter 142-100 Success Rate. Everyone on the field looked at the table full of jade bottles, smelling the strong pill fragrance that spread out. Everyone was stunned. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them with stunned expressions. This is the result of 60 sets of materials. A total of 57 3-pattern pills, 142 2-pattern pills, and 221 1st-pattern pills, Pavilion Master Sun, check it out. Lin Xuan said it with a calm expression. His voice spread out and woke everyone up. Instantly, everyone on the scene couldn't help but suck in a deep breath. The field also became noisy. It's really a 70% success rate. They're all cloud pattern pills, not even a single no pattern. I've been concocting pills for dozens of years, but I've never seen such a scene before. Even an Earth-ranked alchemist master might not be able to do it. Everyone was discussing amongst themselves, exclaiming in shock. Their eyes moved back and forth between Lin Xuan and the jade plates on the table. They were full of disbelief. The difficulty of refining a cloud pattern pill was much greater than that of refining a no pattern medicinal pill. But now, this table is filled with cloud patterned pills. Not a single pattern was present. This difficulty had increased by more than 10 times. Theoretically, even an Earth-rank low-grade alchemist might not be able to do it. This shocked all the alchemists. Especially since it was concocted by a young man who was not even 20 years old. This caused them to be even more astounded to the extreme. They only felt that their many years of understanding and worldview practically collapsed at this moment. Because the scene in their eyes was really too shocking. Sun He, who was at the side, was also stunned for a long time. He only came back to his senses when the scene became noisy. He looked at Lin Xuan with extreme shock. He was also filled with emotion in his heart. He is indeed worthy of being an elder of the Apothecary Guild. Sun He sighed in his heart. When he was informed by Master Ren Yuan earlier, he was told that a guild elder was looking for him. When he arrived and saw Lin Xuan, he had some doubts in his heart. Although he knew that, as an elder of the association and an earth-ranked alchemist, it was impossible for Master Ren Yuan to deceive the owner of a small, medicinal pill shop like him. However, Lin Xuan's face was too young and it was difficult for people to believe him. He was, naturally, the same. However, the doubt in his heart had completely disappeared. He was 100% certain that this Lin Xuan was that elder, because none of the alchemists recruited by his shop could achieve such a result. Then, the only one who could achieve such a result was the elder in charge of the association, Lin Xuan. This result was something that even an earth-ranked alchemist master would find difficult to achieve. However, the young Lin Xuan had done it. This caused him to feel even more shocked in his heart. He was shocked by Lin Xuan's terrifying alchemy talent. After that, Sun He smiled and said, "I don't need to count. I trust Elder Lin." After saying that, he turned to the alchemists with a stern expression. He said coldly, "Apologize to Elder Lin now. Today, if Elder Lin can't forgive you, you don't have to stay in the Essence Pill Pavilion anymore." His tone was cold, and his attitude was firm. Lin Xuan's talent in alchemy was so high, and he was now an elder of the Apothecary Guild. Putting aside his boundless potential, even now, Lin Xuan was not someone he could afford to offend. He naturally wanted to satisfy Lin Xuan. When the alchemists heard this, they also bowed and apologized respectfully. Although they couldn't believe it, they had no choice but to believe the facts in front of them. They were facing an existence that was highly likely to be that of a great alchemist. Furthermore, Lin Xuan was so young that perhaps even their grandson was older than Lin Xuan. However, in this world, strength is everything, not age. They naturally had to respect the strong. Apologizing wasn't a big deal. Lin Xuan waved his hand, not caring about this matter. After chatting with Sun He for a while, he returned to the guest room. He closed the door and sat down on the chair. There was a jade bottle in his hand, and there was a round pill in it. This was a 3-pattern pill. The alchemy talent of the Apothecary Guild in Wind Cloud City was merely the spirit grade. Currently, his alchemy talent has reached the profound grade. It was impossible for him to fail when concocting a rank 5 pill. In fact, these 60 pills had a 100% success rate. However, Lin Xuan did not want to appear too extraordinary, which is why he said he had a 70% success rate. He even deliberately lowered the quality of the pills, causing a large number of first pattern pills to appear. Otherwise, with his pill Dao skill, it was impossible for him to concoct a first pattern pill. The pills he concocted were, at least, second-order pills. Besides the 400+ pills he handed over, he still had nearly 200 pills with him. All of them were 3-pattern pill. And this was one of them. 3rd pattern spirit gathering pill. Lin Xuan looked at the medicinal pill in the jade bottle and muttered. A smile appeared in his eyes. A few days ago, he saw Zhang Chen concocting the spirit gathering pill, and he had also copied Zhang Chen's alchemy talent. After that, he started to step into the pill Dao. He had never thought that in just a few days he would be able to concoct the spirit gathering pill in copious quantities. Furthermore, Zhang Chen could only rely on luck to refine the first pattern spirit gathering pill with all his strength. And he casually refined several hundred 3rd pattern spirit gathering pills. The disparity was so great that it was simply unimaginable. It even showed how terrifying high-level talent was. Lin Xuan sighed to himself. Then he went to the bed and sat down cross-legged. He poured the spirit-accumulating pill in the jade bottle into his mouth and began to close his eyes to cultivate. The reason why he chose to refine a large amount of rank 5 high-grade medicinal pills was because their profits were greater. Moreover, they were useful to him. He was a condensation spin stage, and using a rank 5 to increase his cultivation base was perfect. In fact, in terms of supplementary medicinal pills, the effects were much better than the spirit stone. However, he rarely chose to use the pill before this. This was because medicinal pills were poisonous. If a person ate too much, the pill poison would accumulate continuously, which might even cause a person's cultivation to stagnate. However, as the quality of the medicinal pill increased, the pill's poison would also decrease. The 3-pattern pill did not have the slightest pill poison. That was why the 3-pattern pill was so difficult to refine. That was why its value was so high. Currently, he is able to easily refine the 3-pattern pill. Hence, he naturally chose to consume medicinal pills to aid his cultivation. Chapter 143. Make a lot of money. At night, in the main hall of the Essence Pill Pavilion, Lin Xuan and Sun He sat opposite each other. Elder Lin, congratulations. The quality of the pills you refined is too good. They were all sold in one day. This is your share, a total of 800,000 substandard spirit stones. I've exchanged them for you according to the exchange rate. Here are 80 low-grade spirit stones. Please keep them well. Sun He said it with a red face and a smile on his face. Obviously, he made a lot of money this time. After he finished speaking, he placed a storage ring on the table and pushed it in front of Lin Xuan. Lin Xuan picked it up, entered the true qi, and scanned it. Within the storage ring, there was a small pile of sparkling stones. However, the concentration and purity of the spiritual energy within were more than 1,000 times higher than those of a substandard spirit stone. This is the low-grade spirit stone? Lin Xuan's eyes flashed. This was the first time he had seen a low-grade spirit stone. A substandard spirit stone was far inferior to a low-grade spirit stone. Even in the Drifting Cloud sect, only true disciples or elders of the inner sect had the right to touch a low-grade spirit stone. At most, the disciples of the inner sect could use a substandard spirit stone. Sun He was a spirit opening stage, only then would he be able to obtain the low-grade spirit stone. Furthermore, if it weren't for the fact that he had earned a huge fortune today, he wouldn't be willing to give the low-grade spirit stone to Lin Xuan. Lin Xuan nodded his head in satisfaction. Not bad. Lin Xuan said it with a smile. The harvest this time was beyond his expectations. It had to be known that many spirit opening stage warriors might not even have over 100 low-grade spirit stones. And he had obtained nearly 100 low-grade spirit stones on this day. This also showed the terrifying ability of an alchemist to amass wealth. Lin Xuan could not help but be secretly shocked. And he was looking forward to next time. Essence Pill Pavilion will have to rely on you more. Sun He cupped his hands and said it with a smile on his face. This time, he had truly seen Lin Xuan's pill Dao skill. Even some earth-ranked alchemist elders in the Apothecary Guild were far from being as good as Lin Xuan. With Lin Xuan's help, he made a huge profit today. He needed to be treated better. Pavilion Master Sun, happy cooperation. Lin Xuan smiled and replied, tomorrow, please send more materials over. Lin Xuan's harvest this time made him quite happy. If he could earn more, he would be able to obtain a lot of cultivation resources. This was a rare opportunity, and he couldn't miss it. Of course. Don't worry, I'll handle all of this. You only need to be in charge of concocting pills. Sun He smiled and promised repeatedly. Today's sales showed him how popular the cloud pattern pill Lin Xuan refined was. Even if Lin Xuan did not say it, he would still add some more ingredients. Now that both sides had unanimously agreed, it could not be any better. A win-win cooperation was the best result. He wouldn't object. After that, the two of them chatted for a while longer before they left. Lin Xuan returned to the guest room and sat cross-legged on the bed, preparing to cultivate. However, this time, what he took out was not a rank 5 high-grade medicinal pill, but a sparkling stone. When this stone fell into his palm, he felt refreshed. The concentration of spirit energy in the entire room began to rise slowly. This time, Lin Xuan was prepared to test the effects of the low-grade spirit stone. Between the low-grade spirit stone and a rank 5 pill, who is stronger and who is weaker? Lin Xuan murmured as he held onto a low-grade spirit stone. He circulated the mixed essence formula. The pure spiritual energy was extracted from the low-grade spirit stone, merged into his body and refined by him. Lin Xuan's aura began to slowly rise. The time passed quickly. Early morning. A ray of morning light shone through the window. The sunlight brought with it a hint of brightness. On the bed, Lin Xuan slowly opened his eyes. He opened his right hand, and the low-grade spirit stone had already turned into a pile of debris. A gentle breeze blew past, and the debris was blown away. I'm already at the peak of condensation spin stage level 3. Lin Xuan felt the strength in his body, and his eyes revealed a satisfied expression. The effect of cultivating this low-grade spirit stone was really good, and it had far exceeded his expectations. It had far exceeded the rank 5 high-grade medicinal pill. However, this consumption was too great. One low-grade spirit stone was equivalent to 10,000 substandard spirit stones. In the drifting cloud sect, one low-grade spirit stone could be compared to 100,000 contribution points. However, he had used up one low-grade spirit stone in one night. Furthermore, he had used up a small part of it. The efficiency rate of using the low-grade spirit stone was not even 70%. If he did not have a richer net worth, he definitely would not be willing to do so. In comparison, although rank 5 medicinal pills were not as effective as low-grade spirit stone, they were much cheaper, and the use rate was much higher. Not counting the time cost, using medicinal pills to cultivate was much more cost-effective. However, Lin Xuan did not care about them. With his current attainments in the pill Dao, it was extremely easy for him to earn the spirit stone. He didn't care about that bit of waste anymore. He only wanted to increase his cultivation base and strength as soon as possible. This low-grade spirit stone just happened to meet his needs. Next, I'll use this low-grade spirit stone to cultivate. Lin Xuan smiled. Not long after, Sun He personally came over and delivered a storage ring to Lin Xuan. This storage ring had a large amount of material. He also sent Lin Xuan to the pill refining room area. After Lin Xuan entered the pill refinement room, Sun He waited outside. Right now, Lin Xuan is the money tree of Essence Pill Pavilion. The batch of pills that Lin Xuan was about to concoct was unbelievably valuable. Those new customers were also here to buy the cloud pattern pill that Lin Xuan refined. Sun He naturally could not allow any mistakes to occur. He personally waited here. Many alchemists were gathered around, waiting for Lin Xuan to walk out. Not long after, a scorching heat wave and a strong pill fragrance were emitted from the furnace room. Everyone was looking forward to it even more. They were all shocked by Lin Xuan's pill Dao skill. An hour later, Lin Xuan slowly walked out and threw a storage ring at Sun He. He said with a faint smile, "Pavilion Master Sun, my success rate has reached 70%. Sun He took it and checked it. He saw that there were jade bottles inside the storage ring, and a bright smile appeared on his face. Your pill Dao skill is extraordinary. I admire you very much." Sun He praised Lin Xuan continuously. The surrounding alchemists were shocked. Lin Xuan had successfully concocted a pill in such a brief period of time, and his success rate was as high as 70%. His pill Dao skill was a little terrifying. And this time, no one dared to doubt Lin Xuan anymore. Lin Xuan had proved his strength with facts. Chapter 144. The 8th level of the condensing reality realm. 3 days passed in a flash. In the Essence Pill Pavilion's main hall, Lin Xuan and Sun He sat at the top. Sun He gave Lin Xuan his share of the profits today. After chatting for a while, Sun He suddenly sighed and said, "Elder Lin, perhaps our cooperation will end here." "Why is that?" Lin Xuan's expression changed. "Because the medicinal pills you refine are all cloud patterns. Their quality is too high, causing the dissatisfaction of the other large shops. Right now, the Wind Cloud Pill Pavilion with the background of City Lord's mansion has put pressure on me. The Essence Pill Pavilion is just an ordinary shop. They are not on the same level as the Wind Cloud Pill Pavilion." Sun He explained with a gloomy expression. "Is there such a thing?" Lin Xuan had a strange expression on his face. He did not think that this was actually because the quality of the medicinal pills he refined was too high. He was somewhat speechless. After that, Lin Xuan replied indifferently, "Pavilion Master Sun, since that's the case, let's temporarily end our cooperation." In these 3 days, he had already earned 500 low-grade spirit stones. Lin Xuan estimated that these were enough for him to cultivate in the condensation spin stage, or even break through to the spirit opening stage. He had achieved his goal this time. It was impossible for him to go against the Wind Cloud Pill Pavilion for the sake of the Essence Pill Pavilion. The reason he cooperated with the Essence Pill Pavilion was to earn some spirit stones. Both parties had their own profits, and neither of them owed the other anything. As for the other aspects, it had nothing to do with him. He needed to increase his strength as soon as possible. After that, Lin Xuan left Wind Cloud City. After a few hours, he successfully returned to the Drifting Cloud sect. He came to the cultivation room and sat cross-legged on a hassock. He took out the low-grade spirit stone and began his secluded cultivation. Compared to the Wind Cloud City, the Drifting Cloud sect was much safer and more convenient. Since he had achieved his goal, there was no need for him to stay there. He returned to the pavilion of the Drifting Cloud sect. Of course, this was not the only reason he chose to return to the Drifting Cloud sect at this time. Another reason was that the strong list of the inner sect ranking competition was about to begin. There were only a few days left. With Lin Xuan's current strength, it would be extremely easy for him to obtain the first rank on the strong list. The strong list ranking competition was a fantastic opportunity for him to earn a huge amount of energy points. There were also the cultivation resources rewarded by the sect. He couldn't miss this opportunity. The time slowly passed. Lin Xuan's qi was getting stronger and stronger. A few days passed unknowingly. Within the cultivation room, a wave of power slowly spread out, then quickly disappeared. Lin Xuan opened his eyes and exhaled a mouthful of foul air, looking at the void in front of him. Divine Level Duplication System. Host: Lin Xuan. Realm: Condensation Spin Stage Level 8 Talent. Profound Grade Cultivation Talent, Profound Grade Alchemy Talent, Superior Grade Talent, Speed Strength. Blade Dao, Kendo, and Superior Grade Attribute Talent, Sharp Gold, Green Wood, Heavy Water, Earth, and a Violent Wind. Top Grade Attribute Talent, Ice, Lightning Martial Art. Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts, Unknown, Incomplete, Beginner Level, Mixed Essence Formula, Low Rank 8, Small Completion, Rising Sun Saber Technique, High Rank 7, Sky Quake Sword Art, High Rank 7, Small Completion, and Tyrant Fist, High Rank 7, Small Completion, Startling Waves Palm, High Rank 7, Small Completion, Split Space Leg, High Rank 7. Small Completion. Shadow Pursuing Skill, High Rank 7, Small Completion, and Flame Manipulation, High Rank 7. Small Completion. Concept: 40% Saber Intent, 40% Sword Intent, 40% Artistic Conception of Wind, and 30% Artistic Conception of Gold. 50% Artistic Conception of Fire, 30% Artistic Conception of Earth, 50% Artistic Conception of Wood, and 20% Artistic Conception of Water. Energy Points: 678,000. Walk Space: 489. Looking at the greatly changed attribute panel, Lin Xuan slightly nodded his head, his eyes revealing a smile. I consumed 300 low-grade spirit stones and finally broke through to Condensation Spin Stage Level 8 in one go. These few days, he had been in secluded cultivation, using the low-grade spirit stone to cultivate. The effect of his cultivation was obvious, and the speed of his cultivation was much faster than before. However, he had still underestimated the massive number of resources that the Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts needed for cultivation. Also, after his talent reached the profound grade, his demand for cultivation resources skyrocketed once again. Generally speaking, dozens of low-grade spirit stones could allow a warrior who had just broken through to the condensation spin stage to break through to the spirit opening stage smoothly. However, he had only broken through to level 8 from the condensation spin stage level 3. Furthermore, Lin Xuan could feel that the remaining 200 low-grade spirit stones were not enough for him to break through to the spirit opening stage. It could be seen how terrifying it was. However, it wasn't without benefits. His strength had at least increased by several times. A strength of 1.5 million jin. I wonder if the spirit opening stage middle stage can withstand my attack. Lin Xuan clenched his fist. In an instant, the entire cultivation room was filled with howling winds. A burst of light flashed and neutralized most of the power. This time, his Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts still hadn't reached the beginner level. However, his strength had increased once again, reaching 1.5 million jin. Even an ordinary spirit in the opening stage or middle stage wouldn't dare to withstand his attack. In addition, he also had all kinds of martial arts. Within his danshan, the quantity and quality of the true qi increased dramatically. If he used all of his strength, he could even defeat an ordinary late stage of the spirit opening stage. Lin Xuan's eyes were filled with satisfaction. After that, he glanced at the attribute panel from top to bottom. My treasures have improved a lot. Lin Xuan muttered in his heart. He had copied all of these things from Chen Anren's body. These things were ranked at the top of the Drifting Cloud sect and even the entire Kangyuan country. They were enough for him to jump ranks and challenge his enemies. Lin Xuan nodded slightly. I don't think I have many energy points left. I need to earn some from now on. Lin Xuan let out a long breath, put away the attribute panel, stood up, and walked out of the cultivation room. After checking the time, his expression changed. It's already so late. He hadn't expected that he would forget the time while he was in secluded meditation. The ranking competition had already started for a period of time. When he was in secluded cultivation, the pagoda would automatically start protecting him so that the outside world wouldn't disturb him. The butler couldn't even remind him. Young Master Lin, you have come out of seclusion. The strong list ranking competition has already started for half an hour. You should hurry up and go. Perhaps you still have time. Zhou Yun walked in. When he saw Lin Xuan, his expression became joyful. Immediately, his eyes revealed an anxious look as he hurriedly spoke. I'm going. You just need to manage the attic well. Lin Xuan nodded his head. As soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared. Zhou Yun's pupils shrunk, and his heart was filled with shock. He was actually unable to see Lin Xuan's movements clearly. After all, he was a condensation spin stage middle stage warrior. It looks like young Master Lin's strength has increased quite a bit. I don't know what changes the strong list will make this time. Zhou Yun murmured, looking forward to it. Chapter 145. Lin Xuan arrived in time. Morning. The warm sunlight shone on the ground, bringing with it a trace of warmth. As for the usually lively inner sect region, it was exceptionally quiet today. On the other hand, the square of the inner sect was filled with disciples of the inner sect. There were also many elders and deacons of the inner sect. Even a few spiritual essence stage elders were here. Because today was the annual strong list of the Drifting Cloud sect, the ranking competition, the strong list was the most valuable strong list among the disciples of the inner sect. Any disciple of the inner sect who was ranked in the strong list had the potential to become a true disciple, and they had the potential to become a disciple of the sect's seniors. As for elite disciples, their treatment was also very generous, and their treatment far exceeded that of ordinary disciples. The higher the ranking, the more generous the treatment would be. Furthermore, the sect would also reward the disciples who were ranked on the strong list. As such, the strong list ranking competition, which had both fame and benefits, naturally attracted the attention of countless people. It could be said that almost all the disciples of the inner sect had left the sect early and arrived at the square of the inner sect. Even the deacons of the inner sect, as long as there was no mission, had gathered here. This strong list of the inner sect, the ranking competition, had become a major event for the inner sect. It had received the attention of everyone in the inner sect. At this moment, the square of the inner sect was filled with people. Apart from the 5 arenas in the center and the surrounding areas, there were also crowds of people. Even outside the square, there was a large crowd of people. In the east, there was a tall platform. All the elders and upper echelons of the inner sect were sitting on the tall platform, watching the competition. On the west side, there was a small platform that was almost half the size of the platform. There were 36 seats on it. The person at the top was at levels 2 and 3. And so on and so forth. There were 36 disciples of the inner sect who were ranked on the strong list. In the center of the square, all the elite disciples of the inner sect who were sitting around the 5 rings were qualified to take part in the strong list ranking competition. As for those ordinary disciples of the inner sect who were only in the chi transformation stage, they were not allowed to take part in the strong list ranking competition. They could only be the audience. Of course, they could also take part if they insisted on taking part. However, they would be surrounded and attacked by the elites of the inner sect. They would be defeated in an instant, and they would also suffer injuries. Therefore, ordinary disciples of the inner sect wouldn't take part in the competition. Soon, the ranking competition began. The first round was a chaotic battle. All the participating disciples went to the 5 arenas to engage in a chaotic battle. Only when there were only 10 people left in each arena did the battle finally come to an end. And these 50 people would advance to the next round. Of course, if one performed excellently in the chaotic battle, but could not advance, the sect would also give them some rewards. The second round was the challenge competition. The 50 people who advanced had the right to challenge an elite disciple. If they won, they could replace the disciples on the strong list. Each of them had a chance to challenge an elite disciple. The third round is the ranking competition. After the 36 people from the strong list were settled, the challenges would be issued by the 36 people from the strong list. They would fight against each other as they wished to decide their final ranking. The rules were amazingly simple. The time passed slowly. Unknowingly, the first round had ended. The second round was also nearing its end. During this period of time, Lin Xuan, who had been known as the number one genius of the sect, had yet to appear. Below the small platform, the 28th place was also empty. One should know that, although Lin Xuan was only a chi transformation stage, his strength was extraordinarily strong. Not only was he ranked 28th, but he had also broken the record of a chi transformation stage being ranked in the strong list. Furthermore, not even a dozen disciples of the strong list were a match for Lin Xuan. Even Wu Jie, who was ranked 9th among the top 10 disciples of the strong list, admitted that he was no match for Lin Xuan. He took the initiative to step forward and apologize to Lin Xuan with his head lowered. Lin Xuan's strength was publicly acknowledged as one of the top 10 on the strong list. In theory, Lin Xuan should not be absent from the ranking competition. Even if Lin Xuan didn't care about his reputation, the reward of the ranking competition was still a lot. In order to obtain sufficient cultivation resources, Lin Xuan wouldn't miss the competition. But until now, Lin Xuan had yet to appear. According to the rules of the sect, if the second round ended and he did not appear, he would be eliminated. Lin Xuan would be expelled from the strong list, and he would not be able to issue another challenge for half a year. Lin Xuan hadn't come to such an important ranking competition. Everyone was puzzled. At the same time, many disciples were secretly delighted, including some elite disciples. If Lin Xuan wasn't here, there would be an extra strong list slot. Lin Xuan's strength was so strong that even if he wasn't in the top 3, the rest of the disciples wouldn't have the confidence to defeat him. If Lin Xuan came, their ranking would be lowered. They might even be seriously injured by Lin Xuan. From the earlier battle, it could be seen that his opponent would be seriously injured every time. These were all things that they didn't want to see. Therefore, they were incredibly happy that Lin Xuan didn't come. However, they didn't dare show it. Lin Xuan was highly regarded by the sect seniors. Most probably, many of the sect seniors were paying close attention to Lin Xuan's performance. They didn't dare to offend the senior sect. On the high platform, a few spiritual essence stage elders were frowning. Originally, this competition was a big event for the inner sect. However, the competition only needed a spiritual essence stage elder to host it. There was no need for all of them to come. After all, the people on the strong list were only true core candidates. They did not need to be so grand. They came here because they wanted to see the performance of the number one genius of the new sect, Lin Xuan, who had surpassed Lu Qianya. But now Lin Xuan is absent. Didn't they come here for nothing? A few elders of the spiritual essence stage inner sect showed impatience on their faces. If Lin Xuan really didn't come, they would have to leave early. At the same time, in a building thousands of meters away from the square of the inner sect, two figures were staring at the square from afar. One of them was a middle-aged man with an extraordinary aura. He waved his hand and called a man over, giving him a few instructions. In the center of the square, on Arena 3, the judge scanned the crowd and said in a clear voice, "Who else wants to challenge Lin Xuan? If no one wants to challenge Lin Xuan, the second round will end. I want to challenge him." A young man beside the ring glanced at the small platform and loudly replied, "I am Zheng Yuan, I want to challenge senior brother Lin Xuan." Immediately, he jumped onto the stage. Seeing this, the referee continued to speak in a clear voice, "Lin Xuan, do you accept the challenge? If you don't respond, then I'll take it as you are admitting defeat." The arena fell into a dead silence. But before the referee could finish speaking, a voice sounded. "I accept the challenge." Chapter 146. Accept. According to the sect's rules, the second round of the ranking competition has ended. If Lin Xuan hadn't arrived yet, he would have been eliminated. Similarly, if he was challenged, he would be considered to have given up if he didn't respond within 3 breaths. Zheng Yuan had taken a fancy to this point and wanted to seize the opportunity to obtain a strong list seat. The surrounding disciples were stunned when they saw this. They at once reacted and revealed a mocking expression in their eyes. They did not expect that there was actually such a despicable person in the inner sect. One should know that Zheng Yuan wasn't a weakling. He was a condensation spin stage peak, a top expert amongst the elites of the inner sect. In the first round, he had made it into the top 10 of the arena and had obtained the qualification to challenge an elite disciple. However, in the second round, he had yet to issue a challenge. He was obviously frightened by the strength of an elite disciple. He didn't even dare to challenge them. But now, when he found out that Lin Xuan wasn't there, he started the challenge. According to the rules of the sect, if a person was challenged and didn't reply within 3 breaths, he would be considered to have given up. The challenger won. It was obvious that he wanted to use the rules of the sect to enter the strong list while Lin Xuan was not around. Furthermore, this was the last minute. After this match, the second round was over. He didn't have the chance to challenge him anymore. Even though he was defeated in the third round and fell to the last seat on the strong list, he was still ranked on the strong list. It had to be said that, although this method was despicable, it was very practical. Although the crowd kept sneering, they had to admit that the timing Zheng Yuan had chosen was too correct. He might really be able to enter the strong list. He would become the weakest disciple of the inner sect in the history of the strong list. Furthermore, after entering the ranking competition, there would be a 3-month period of protection for those who entered the elite disciples. This was a rule set by the sect. In other words, Zheng Yuan might be able to become an elite disciple warrior for 3 months. When they thought of this, all the disciples had strange expressions on their faces. Even on the small platform, when the elite disciples heard this, their eyes turned cold. The strong list had always been a powerful ranking list in the inner sect, and it had authority that was publicly acknowledged by the sect. Although Lin Xuan was a new disciple, he had strength. In this world, the strong were respected, and strength was above all else. They could accept it. However, if Zheng Yuan were to enter the strong list, elite disciples would lose a lot of face. If Zheng Yuan succeeded, they would teach him a lesson every few days. Lin Xuan was extraordinarily strong. They didn't dare to find trouble with Lin Xuan. Around the arena, there were a few people who, like Zheng Yuan, didn't dare challenge them after seeing the strength of an elite disciple. After seeing what Zheng Yuan did, they couldn't help but look envious. Perhaps, if Zheng Yuan was lucky enough, he could really become that high and mighty elite disciple. Now, they could only regret it. On the arena, Zheng Yuan could feel the gazes coming from all around him, and he let out a wanton smile. It had been a long time since he had been the center of attention. Now, he had finally obtained it. He was overjoyed. He completely ignored the other meanings of these gazes. Next, after waiting for 3 breaths of time, he would be able to rank above the strong list. Immediately, he looked at the judge with great anticipation. The judge's eyes were filled with disdain when he saw this. He looked at Zheng Yuan with a snicker. However, this was a rule set by the sect. He could not blame Zheng Yuan either. Furthermore, he had no choice but to carry on. He continued to speak in a clear voice. Lin Xuan, do you accept the challenge? If you don't respond, you will give up. 1, 2. The crowd fell into silence. Everyone's eyes were focused on the referee. At the same time, almost everyone was looking forward to Lin Xuan's appearance. Zheng Yuan, on the other hand, looked incomparably excited. In just a breath's time, he would be the strong list's disciple. He would truly be ranked above the strong list. Under the attention of the crowd, before the referee could finish his sentence, a thunderous voice sounded. I accept. In an instant, all the condensation spin stage and below warriors on the scene felt their eardrums tremble, and they couldn't even breathe properly. A single, cold shout had such power. All the disciples were shocked, and their bodies couldn't help but tremble. 1. A figure with a handsome face slowly walked over. A majestic aura that was as deep as the ocean slowly spread out. It spread out in all directions, like a tsunami. The disciples and deacons on the square felt as if they had suffered a heavy blow. They felt a dull pain in their chests, and could not help but retreat. They could not even speak. Everyone on the square could not help but open up a wide path for the handsome youth. This aura was no longer at the condensation spin stage, but at the spirit opening stage, which was above the condensation spin stage. He was the Lin Xuan that everyone had been looking forward to for a long time. The moment they saw Lin Xuan, everyone was shocked. It was really Lin Xuan. They never thought that Lin Xuan, who was only at the beginner level for less than 2 months, could actually unleash such a terrifying power. One could imagine how powerful he was. Even if his strength was weaker than that of a true disciple of the spirit opening stage, it shouldn't be too far away from him. In such a brief period of time, he had already made such progress. This also showed how terrifying Lin Xuan's talent was. No wonder he was the #1 genius of the sect. Everyone's hearts shook once more. Lin Xuan was here. He could probably challenge the top 3 on the strong list, right? Furthermore, his arrival at the last minute was just in line with the rules of the sect. That useless Zhang Yuan should have suffered a bit, right? Many people looked towards Zhang Yuan. They saw that Zhang Yuan's face was pale, and even his lips were pale. His body was trembling uncontrollably, as if he had met something terrifying. It was obvious that he wanted to say something, but he struggled for a long time and couldn't even say a word. Under the gaze of the crowd, Lin Xuan slowly walked to the bottom of the arena. I haven't fought for a long time. Now, anyone dares to step on me and act arrogantly in front of me, right? It looks like I can't tolerate this anymore. Otherwise, all of you will think that I am easy to bully. This challenge I accept. Chapter 147. Attack. After Lin Xuan finished speaking, the crowd fell silent. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Lin Xuan with anticipation. They hadn't seen him for a few days. According to the usual practice, Lin Xuan's strength and cultivation base must have increased by a lot. They could see it for themselves. He could also get rid of Zhang Yuan, who had offended the public. After that, Lin Xuan leapt onto the arena. He stood opposite Zhang Yuan. Lin Xuan turned into an ordinary person. But no one dared to underestimate Lin Xuan anymore. Because the power was too terrifying. Even an ordinary early spirit opening stage might not be able to compare with it. Zhang Yuan's face was filled with fear. He wanted to admit defeat. However, he realized that he could no longer speak. In fact, he could not even turn around and escape. It was as if he were bound by a terrifying, invisible force. He could feel Lin Xuan's cold gaze. He knew that this was Lin Xuan's doing. Lin Xuan stood where he was and did not do anything. His qi made him unable to resist, and he couldn't even move. This level of strength was too terrifying. He was much stronger than the rumors. Zhang Yuan instantly fell into deep shock. At the same time, endless fear and regret appeared in his heart. He regretted why he did this. Every opponent of Lin Xuan would at least be seriously injured. Or they would take the initiative to break through their wealth to avoid disaster and use money to resolve their grudges. Why did he want to provoke him? He was filled with regret. He could already predict his miserable ending. He looked at Lin Xuan with pleading eyes, hoping that he would spare him this time. There was no medicine for regret in this world. Since he had done it, he had to pay the price. Lin Xuan would not be affected by this. He had already made up his mind. On the side, the judge had a pleased look on his face. He announced loudly, "The challenge begins." After he finished speaking, Zhang Yuan's face became even paler. He turned around and wanted to escape. However, under Lin Xuan's imposing manner, he couldn't even move an inch, let alone escape. Lin Xuan's expression was cold as he attacked. Startling waves palm. Lin Xuan shouted in a deep voice. This kind of power was extremely terrifying. It lunged at Zhang Yuan. Lin Xuan only used 30% true qi and 50% power in this palm strike. But even so, it was still not something a condensation spin stage peak could withstand. The condensation spin stage peak judge's expression changed dramatically when he felt this powerful force. He hurriedly circulated his technique and left the arena. However, he was still affected by the aftershock. A trace of blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. It was clear that he had suffered quite a serious internal injury. He was so scared that he kept retreating. He only stopped when he had retreated to the side of the crowd. He turned around and looked at Lin Xuan in shock. He had never thought that Lin Xuan's strength would actually reach such a level. He was a condensation spin stage peak. However, he couldn't even withstand the slightest bit of aftershock. If he hadn't sensed it in time and escaped, he would have been injured even more severely. And this was obviously not Lin Xuan's full strength. At least Lin Xuan had not used the concept yet. Lin Xuan's true strength would be very shocking. The referee's heart trembled, and he sighed with emotion. The rumors weren't false. Lin Xuan had at least the strength to enter the top 10 of the strong list. In fact, it was highly likely that he would enter the top 3. In just a few days, Lin Xuan's strength had once again soared to such an extent. His natural talent was terrifying. He was worthy of being called the #1 genius of the sect. The referee sighed in his heart. Even the judge had such a feeling. As the target, Zheng Yuan naturally felt it even more deeply. In the blink of an eye, Zheng Yuan felt a fatal threat. He could not help but tremble. Cold sweat flowed down his back and he was scared half to death. However, under Lin Xuan's power, he couldn't dodge at all. He could only watch helplessly as this terrifying attack fell. He was so scared that he couldn't think. In the next moment, under the gazes of everyone present, this majestic force descended. An ear-splitting explosion sounded. The aftermath scattered in all directions. The disciples on the square could not help but retreat a few meters. They looked at Lin Xuan and were even more shocked. On the arena, the sound of bones cracking could be heard. Zheng Yuan had already turned into a bloody man. He was sent flying hundreds of meters away and smashed into the square. A dull sound was heard. However, there was no scream. Zheng Yuan had fainted from the pain. His entire body was lying on the ground, and he was in a strange position. All the bones in his body had been shattered into pieces. His condensation spin stage peak aura had been weakened at an extremely fast speed, and it had disappeared without a trace. If it weren't for the fact that he was still breathing weakly. They all thought that Zheng Yuan had been killed by Lin Xuan on the spot in the arena. Lin Xuan put his hands behind his back and stood still with a calm expression. His breathing didn't change at all. It was as if nothing had happened. Under Lin Xuan's feet, a few centimeters of cracks appeared in the arena. Looking at these cracks, the ordinary disciples of the inner sect didn't feel anything. However, on the small platform, all the elite disciples and elders were startled. Immediately, they reacted and looked at Lin Xuan. Their eyes couldn't help but reveal some shock. Theoretically, even if the disciples of the strong list fought with all their strength, they would not be able to destroy the arena in the slightest. But now, the arena had several cracks created by Lin Xuan's palm. It could be seen how terrifying the power of Lin Xuan's palm was. And it was very obvious that Lin Xuan didn't use his full strength this time. Otherwise, Zheng Yuan wouldn't have ended up in such a miserable state. Instead, he would have been killed on the spot, and his corpse wouldn't have been able to be preserved. This was an even more terrifying display of Lin Xuan's terrifying strength. The expressions of the strong list disciples turned incomparably solemn. Even the top 3 on the strong list were the same. After seeing Lin Xuan's palm strike, they no longer had the confidence to defeat him. Everyone on the scene fell into a dead silence. Everyone stared blankly at Lin Xuan, and Zheng Yuan, who had fainted from the pain on the ground, turned their eyes back and forth. After a few breaths, some people gradually came back to their senses. Suddenly, a large number of people gasped. Chapter 148. The Qualifiers. Gasps echo in the air. The field also became noisy. Senior brother Lin Xuan is indeed worthy of being called the #1 genius of the sect. He actually defeated Zheng Yuan in an instant. Not only that, but I'm also afraid he crippled Zheng Yuan on the spot. That's right, he has become an ordinary person. At Zheng Yuan's age, even if he restarted his cultivation, it would be exceedingly difficult for him to reach the condensation spin stag. So ruthless. It was just as the rumors said. As long as senior brother Lin Xuan attacked, his opponent would at least be seriously injured. Zheng Yuan has offended senior brother Lin Xuan. It's normal for Zheng Yuan's cultivation base to be crippled. Also, senior brother Lin Xuan's palm has created a crack in the arena. It's immensely powerful. The rumors are true. Lin Xuan really has the combat strength of one of the top 10 on the strong list. The next third round of the ranking competition is going to be interesting. That's right. Everyone was discussing amongst themselves. They were all shocked by Lin Xuan's ruthlessness and combat strength. However, none of them blamed Lin Xuan for crippling Zhang Yuan. It was because Zhang Yuan had offended the public. In addition, Lin Xuan had a great reputation and limitless potential. Furthermore, he did not violate the rules. He was just a little cruel. No one would go against Lin Xuan for a cripple. This was the cruelty of this world. On the high platform, all the elders of the inner sect nodded slightly, their eyes were filled with a faint smile. Although Lin Xuan didn't display his true strength this time, they could still see some clues from his experience. Lin Xuan's foundation was indeed extraordinary. He was much stronger than most of the true disciples. However, he was still slightly weaker than Lu Qiannia. However, since Lin Xuan was known as the number one genius of the sect, he should have more than that. He must have hidden a lot of his strength as well. They were looking forward to Lin Xuan's performance. On the arena, Lin Xuan glanced at Zhang Yuan, then ignored him. This time, he did it on purpose. It was not that easy to take advantage of him. Since he dared to do so, he had to be prepared to pay the price. At the same time, he wanted to leave a ruthless impression. He didn't want everyone to think that his temperament was gentle and easy to bully. In the future, he would be able to avoid many unnecessary troubles. After that, Lin Xuan shifted his gaze to the crowd. The judge, in the distance, sensed Lin Xuan's gaze and smiled awkwardly. He hurriedly walked out of the crowd and jumped onto the arena. He announced loudly, "Lin Xuan wins this challenge." Lin Xuan's ranking did not change. He was still ranked 28th on the strong list. After he finished speaking, his peripheral vision swept across the cracks in the arena, and a lingering fear arose in his heart. Fortunately, he managed to escape from the arena in time. At least, the strength of his physique could not compare to the special material used to make the arena. Even the ring was cracked. It was normal for him to break a few bones. And this was obviously far from Lin Xuan's true strength. Lin Xuan's strength was really abnormal. The referee couldn't help but tremble in his heart. Lin Xuan did not pay attention to this. When he heard this, he jumped out of the arena. Under the attention of everyone present, he arrived at the small platform. He glanced at the top of the small platform, then at the bottom of the platform, he walked towards the empty seat in the middle. The elite disciples who were in the same line hurriedly walked out upon seeing this and moved aside for Lin Xuan. They did not dare to have the slightest bit of pride. This was because Lin Xuan's strength was too strong. Even the top 10 might not be his match. He might even have the strength to challenge the top 3. As for the disciples at the end of the strong list, they naturally did not dare to have a temper. They respectfully invited Lin Xuan to take a seat. It was estimated that after this match in the ranking competition, he would have a high chance of entering the top 3. It was an honor for them to be able to stand side by side with the top 3 on the strong list. A few of them secretly sighed with emotion. After that, Lin Xuan returned to his seat with a calm expression. Only then did the rest of them dare to sit down. The spiritual essence stage elder who was in charge of hosting the event on the high platform saw this and spoke with a loud voice. The second round has ended. The 36 people from the strong list were decided. They are the strongest 36 people from the Drifting Cloud sect's inner sect. They will be heavily nurtured by the sect, and they will be handsomely rewarded by the sect. Congratulations to them. As soon as he finished speaking, thunderous applause rang out from the crowd. After a while, the crowd quieted down. The elder continued, "Next is the third round, the ranking competition." The rules were the same as usual. The 36 people who were ranked above the strong list challenged each other. However, those who were ranked at the back could only challenge those who were ranked at the front. Each person only had one chance to challenge each other. At the same time, each person could only accept 3 challenges at most. However, when challenging the same person, there must be a gap between the 2 challenges. In addition, the ranking competition was far more important than the earlier 2 challenges. Therefore, the challenges would be carried out in Arena 3. Alright, that's all. Let the challenges begin. As his voice faded, the crowd remained silent. After a while, an elite group of disciples stood up and stepped onto the arena. He cupped his hands and said, "I am Yu, ranked 24th. I am going to challenge Chen Lianshan, who is ranked 21st. As no one was allowed to refuse other people's challenges, they could only admit defeat. Very quickly, Chen Lianshan jumped onto the arena. A spirit opening stage middle stage elder also jumped onto the arena as the judge. He announced loudly, "The challenge begins." Immediately, the two of them began to fight. Both of them were condensation spin stage peak, and their rankings weren't far apart from each other. Therefore, the gap between their strengths wasn't very obvious. The intense battle lasted for dozens of minutes before the outcome of the battle was decided. After that, the battles continued. The time passed slowly. Unknowingly, an hour had passed. During this period of time, Lin Xuan in the top 3 on the strong list had never made a move. No one dared to challenge them. Currently, in the eyes of the disciples of the inner sect, Lin Xuan is already on the same level as the top 3 disciples of the strong list. It's about time for me to issue a challenge. Lin Xuan looked at the arena in the distance. After the result of another challenge was decided, he wanted to get up. At this moment, a slender figure in white stood in the arena. "Senior brother Zhao, please." His calm and gentle voice caused an uproar in the square. Countless female disciples of the inner sect cheered loudly. Unlike Lin Xuan, although this white-clothed figure had a slightly inferior appearance compared to Lin Xuan, his modest personality and gentle voice made all the female disciples admire him. "He went up ahead of me." Lin Xuan was ridiculed speechlessly. The man in white who went up the stage was Bai Yunfei, who was ranked 3rd on the strong list. Chapter 149. Challenging the top 3. The target of Bai Yunfei's challenge was Chen Yu, who was ranked 1st on the strong list ranking. Chen Yu was also the person Lin Xuan wanted to challenge. Lin Xuan did not expect Bai Yunfei to challenge Chen Yu first. Lin Xuan felt somewhat helpless. Chen Yu was ranked 1st on the strong list and the number 1 person in the inner sect. If Lin Xuan could defeat him, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. Lin Xuan would definitely be able to obtain a lot of energy points. At the same time, he would also be able to obtain the attention of the sect seniors as well as a lot of cultivation resources. However, Bai Yunfei had challenged Chen Yu first. If that were the case, Lin Xuan could only wait a little longer. After that, Lin Xuan looked at Zhang Quishan, who was ranked 2nd on the strong list. According to the rules of the 3rd round, after one challenge ended, one had to wait for 2 challenges to end before they could challenge the same opponent. Lin Xuan planned to challenge Zhang Quishan first. Furthermore, Zhang Quishan had a few interesting treasures with him. A strange light flashed across Lin Xuan's eyes. The surrounding elite disciples were shocked when they heard Lin Xuan mumbling to himself. What did Lin Xuan mean by that? He also wanted to challenge senior disciple Chen Yu, who was ranked 1st on the strong list rankings. Chen Yu had been ranked 1st for a long time. During this period of time, there were many people who challenged him, but none of them were able to win. This also showed how powerful he was. But now, Lin Xuan also wants to challenge Chen Yu. This really shocked them. Although they had heard all kinds of rumors about Lin Xuan from the inner sect, they knew that he was at least in the top 10, or even the top 3. However, they still couldn't accept that Lin Xuan actually wanted to challenge Chen Yu. Lin Xuan's cultivation base and strength had advanced at an incredible speed. He won every battle. Now, Lin Xuan wanted to challenge senior brother Chen, who was ranked 1st on the list. Could it be that he had a lot of confidence that he could defeat senior brother Chen? When they thought of this, all the elite disciples' hearts trembled once more. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they looked at Lin Xuan. If this were true, wouldn't it be too terrifying? In less than 2 months, Lin Xuan had fought his way from the outer sect to the inner sect. Now, he still wanted to become the number 1 person in the inner sect. The speed at which his cultivation base was improving was too shocking. His strength had exceeded everyone's imagination. Lin Xuan was truly worthy of being called the number 1 genius of the sect. All the elite disciples and warriors were shocked. On the arena. After Bai Yunfei issued the challenge, Chen Yu came to the arena. Immediately, the two of them started fighting. The battle between these two naturally attracted the attention of everyone. Everyone's gazes gathered on the arena, and they were immersed in this incomparably brilliant and intense battle. However, Bai Yunfei was only ranked third on the strong list after all. He was still quite a distance away from the top of the rankings. Not long after, he fell into a disadvantageous position. He was continuously forced back by Chen Yu. After a while, he retreated from the arena and was defeated. There was a burst of cheers in the arena. Even Bai Yunfei, who was ranked third on the strong list, was easily defeated by Chen Yu. This proved that Chen Yu's position in the first place was unshakable. After that, the referee announced the result. According to the rules of the third round of the ranking competition, if the challenger won, the two of them would exchange rankings. But if the challenger lost, the original ranking would not change. After this match, the rankings of the two didn't change at all. The two returned to their original positions. The ranking competition continued. Everyone had just seen an exciting battle, and they were all looking forward to the next battle. However, this was a battle between the first and third rankers. It would be difficult for such a great battle to occur in such a brief period of time. However, right after that, a person stood up from the small platform. He turned into an afterimage and disappeared. When the crowd saw his figure again, he had already appeared on the platform. "Mr. Zhang, let's fight." A cold shout echoed throughout the entire square. This slender figure was Lin Xuan. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Quishan stood up. With a hint of interest in his eyes, he walked towards the arena. Everyone was silent at first, and then the scene became extremely lively. Senior brother Lin Xuan actually wants to challenge Mr. Zhang. This is too difficult. I didn't expect senior brother Chen, who was ranked first, to challenge senior brother Bai, who was ranked third. Now, senior brother Lin Xuan wants to challenge Mr. Zhang, who is ranked second. This is going to be interesting. This duel should be very exciting as well. When the crowd heard this, they were all stunned. They soon realized what was going on, and their eyes flickered with interest. They were shocked. Although there was a rumor in inner sect that Lin Xuan had the strength to be in the top 10 of the strong list and was even close to being in the top 3, the moment Lin Xuan appeared, he wanted to challenge Zhang Quishan, who was ranked second on the strong list. This matter had exceeded everyone's expectations. Due to Lin Xuan's majestic aura when he arrived, it had shocked everyone until now. Even though Zhang Quishan was on the second strong list, everyone knew his strength. They didn't dare say that Lin Xuan would lose. Furthermore, Lin Xuan had been fighting non-stop ever since he came here. Almost every time he challenged someone who was stronger than him, he had never lost before. He easily crushed his opponents. His strength was unfathomable. Now that Lin Xuan has started the challenge, he must have a lot of confidence. No one dared to predict the result of this battle. However, this was still a match between the top 3 on the strong list. Everyone's spirits were lifted. Their eyes gathered, full of interest. They believed that the degree of excitement in this battle would not be inferior to the earlier one. On the high platform, all the elders' eyes fell upon Lin Xuan, and their faces were filled with anticipation. This battle saw Lin Xuan challenge the second-ranked strong list, Zhang Quishan. They should be able to see Lin Xuan's true strength. Soon, they would know whether Lin Xuan was truly the number 1 genius of the sect on the stage. Soon, Zhang Quishan jumped onto the stage and stood opposite Lin Xuan. He looked at Lin Xuan with eyes filled with the power to fight. Since Lin Xuan dared to challenge him, his strength must not be weak. Furthermore, he had only been here for less than 2 months, and there were already so many rumors about him. He was even known as the number 1 genius of the sect. Even the top 3 on the strong list could not compare to his reputation. He really wanted to know how strong Lin Xuan was. Was he as strong as the rumors said? After the judge glanced at the two of them, a look of anticipation appeared in his eyes and he announced loudly, "The challenge begins." Chapter 150. Prediction. As soon as the referee finished speaking, the field quieted down. Everyone's gaze gathered on the arena, looking forward to the next match. On the arena, Lin Xuan's gaze swept across Zhang Quishan. Name: Zhang Quishan. Cultivation: Condensation Spin Stage Peak. Talent: Spirit Grade Cultivation Talent, Superior Grade Strength Talent, Top Grade Speed Talent, Top Grade Earth Talent, Top Grade Heavy Water Talent, Attribute Talent, and Top Grade Sharp Gold Talent. Martial Skill: Rock Essence Heavy Mountain Art, Low Rank 6, Small Completion, Mountain Shattering Palm, Low Rank 6, Great Completion, Boundless Quake Mountain Fist, Low Rank 6, Great Completion, and Spiritual Cloud Steps, Low Rank 6, Small Completion, Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts, Unknown, Incomplete, Not Beginner Level Concept. 20% Artistic Conception of Earth Treasure. Black Gold Glove, Low Rank 6 Spirit Weapon. Lin Xuan's eyes sparkled as he looked at Zhang Quishan's attribute panel. It really is the Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts. It looks like my guess is right. He had taken note of the introduction on the Elite Disciple Register. There was a special note on it. Zhang Quishan was ranked second on the strong list. He was as tall and sturdy as Violent Bear. His strength was extremely strong. Even Chen Yu, who was ranked first on the strong list, didn't dare face him head-on. He could only use his saber technique to defeat Zhang Quishan. It could be seen how strong he was. The Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts skill in his hand could give the cultivator endless, terrifying strength. This was exactly the same as his. Although there were many bodybuilding martial arts that could increase a person's physical strength, among the martial arts that he currently knew, the only one that could achieve such an effect was the Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts. Lin Xuan paid special attention to Zhang Quishan. The reason he challenged Zhang Quishan was just to verify his guess. Even if he didn't challenge him, he would find a way to get close to him and check his attribute panel. Now it seemed like Zhang Quishan had really cultivated the Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts. Then his guess was right. The Peak Spirit opening stage old man Wang Zufeng, whom he met in the martial arts pavilion that day, was indeed spreading the Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts on purpose. He was experimenting with some talented disciples. He was secretly seeing them, trying to find a way to break through. However, he could only secretly pay attention to these things. For the time being, he was unable to involve himself in these matters because his strength was insufficient. Furthermore, the Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts could give him strong physical strength. It was harmless to him. He didn't mind. The next battle was between him and Zhang Quishan. They had all cultivated the Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts. A look of anticipation flashed across Lin Xuan's eyes. It had been a long time since he had truly poured out his strength. His opponent this time was Zhang Quishan, who had also cultivated the Golden Scale Barbaric Elephant Arts. However, before that, he should first duplicate the few treasures on Zhang Quishan's body that were of excellent quality. You have consumed 100,000 energy points. Duplication successful. You have obtained the Spirit Grade Cultivation Talent. You have consumed 30,000 energy points. Duplication successful. You have obtained the Superior Grade Ability Talent. You have consumed 30,000 energy points. Duplication is successful. You have obtained Black Gold Glove 1, Low Rank 6 Spirit Weapon. Zhang Quishan had a lot of treasures on him, and none of them were low grade. Unfortunately, after copying the treasures of the Apothecary Guild's chairman, Lin Xuan's horizons had increased by a lot. He only wanted these 3 treasures. In the blink of an eye, the duplicates were completed. Every time he saw the spirit weapon, he would duplicate it when there were plenty of energy points in case of emergencies. Even if he didn't use it, he could sell it to obtain a considerable amount of spirit stone. As for the other 2 items, he would at once choose to use them. A warm current flowed through his body. Congratulations. The host's cultivation talent has improved. Congratulations. The host's talent has improved. They were instantly absorbed and merged. Lin Xuan felt that his talent, potential, and strength had increased a little. He nodded slightly, and a trace of satisfaction flashed in his eyes. All of this happened in an instant. No one on the field noticed. Immediately, Lin Xuan looked indifferently at Zhang Quishan, waiting for the upcoming battle. He still did not plan to defeat his opponent in this match. Instead, he would attack when his opponent attacked. Until he forced his opponent to use his full strength, he could easily defeat him again. Only by doing so could he cause the greatest shock. Only then would he be able to obtain the most energy points. This was Lin Xuan's usual method. Zhang Quishan looked at Lin Xuan with a solemn expression. He remembered Lin Xuan's imposing manner when he arrived. Although the imposing manner did not show the true strength of a martial artist, it could prove that Lin Xuan was extraordinary. Furthermore, since Lin Xuan had challenged him, He had a certain amount of confidence. He did not dare to underestimate him. He said in a cold and deep voice, "Junior brother Lin, although you have only been at the beginner level for less than 2 months, your name has already spread across the entire sect. You are reputed to be the #1 genius of the sect. Now, let me see if you are worthy of your name. Then you can give it a try." Lin Xuan's expression was cold, and he didn't hold back at all. After he finished speaking, the two of them stopped talking nonsense. Zhang Quishan attacked. He took a step forward and crushed Lin Xuan. Wherever he went, an ear-piercing sound of air exploding could be heard. He actually crushed a large area of the air into pieces in an instant. In almost an instant, Zhang Quishan arrived in front of Lin Xuan. He threw a punch at Lin Xuan's chest. It created a sharp vibration sound. Although this punch didn't have any martial art, true chi, or concept, it was still extremely powerful. Even most condensation spin stage peak warriors would be killed by this punch. Lin Xuan still had a calm expression on his face. He also threw out a punch. Lin Xuan's punch also didn't use any martial art, true chi, or concept. But compared to Zhang Quishan, Lin Xuan's punch didn't have the slightest bit of power. Its speed was slow, as if it did not have much strength at all. Looking at this scene, the spectators were shocked, their eyes filled with disbelief. They weren't seeing things, were they? Lin Xuan actually chose to use his strength to fight Zhang Quishan head-on. One should know that Zhang Quishan was known as Violent Bear. His physique and strength were something that no one in the inner sect could compare with. Even Chen Yu, who was ranked first on the strong list, did not dare to face him head-on. That terrifying force was not something that a condensation spin stage could have.